What's up, everybody? Coming to you live here with another brand new episode of Strong Style. I am the Outlaw John Rocha, coming to you from a hotel. I set my whole setup up here in the hotel, and I'm hoping it works all right for you all. And I apologize for the background with all the lights and everything like that, but I figure that's the best way to get myself well lit. And my brother over there in Orlando, Aaron Turner, how are you, brother?
I'm half well lit. I'm outside doing the pod, which is the way I like to do it now. And lighting is what it is. We'll get there eventually. I just a weird week for me. I mean, last week I was out. I had some stuff going on, and then this week I had a COVID scare. Got tested. Okay. Negative.
Good.
I'm negative.
Good.
Everything's good. Everybody's good, but God, wear a mask. Wear a mask. Wash your hands. Jesus Christ.
Well, it's not a joke. It's not a joke. Wear a mask. I'm in this new town because we're here for my girlfriend's mother's birthday. There's only going to be 5 of us getting together and 5 of us that have been getting together for quite some time. So there isn't that kind of COVID situation. We're all wearing our masks and what have you. So ladies and gentlemen, please wear your damn mask. You never know what can happen. You want to be aware of keeping anything from happening to you. I'm making it work on this makeshift desk. I've got a chair that doesn't go up, so I'm doing what I can here. And oh my, Gramash has already sent in some money. Yeah, the Streamlabs and Superchats are open for this episode, so please do not hesitate to send in some support. We're going to talk about so many things here on this episode. Aaron, we got the TLC pay-per-view happening this weekend. We've got Sting debuting at AEW. What do you got?
That was Gramash. That was Gramash just now. The show just started. And he just said, hell with it. Take it all.
He said, take it all. Thank you, Gramash. We'll read it in just a second. And of course, like I said, the Streamlabs right above Aaron's head. There's the address there to go right there to go. And, give us some love there. We'll read it out for you all. And then we're also going to get into the AEW stuff. As I mentioned, Sting debuting at AEW. And then, of course, having the conversations with Cody as he did on the mic. And then we're also going to get into what happened with John Moxley and Kenny Omega. Omega taking off with Impact afterwards. We're also going to do a little bit of tributes to Pat Patterson and Tiny Lister, and also jump into some of the Goldberg challenging Roman Reigns, old man challenging the young lion, shades of The Rock versus Hogan possibly, on all of that here today on Strong Style, and I can't wait to get into it. Aaron, I've missed you. It's been a couple of weeks. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad everything turned out okay, and I'm glad you survived the COVID scare. So let's get into some Strong Style professional wrestling news. Let's do it.
I love you too, brother. Okay, so first of all, we're starting on a somber note. We lost. We're getting caught up on the news. We had our top 10 wrestlers last week, which got a great response. Appreciate everybody that caught that and provided your own top 10 list. Appreciate that. Probably more of that on the way. Just keep your eyes peeled for that. So we start off with the death of Pat Patterson. Of course, legendary, the first Intercontinental Champion, legendary road agent. Created the Royal Rumble concept of the winner gets the title shot at WrestleMania. That was all Pat Patterson. Very integral in many people's careers. Not less than The Rock, one of The Rock's biggest supporters. So without Pat Patterson, we wouldn't have The Rock. Instrumental in putting together so many of the greatest matches of all time. Without Pat Patterson, there is no genius of Vince McMahon. So Pat Patterson will be sorely missed. And from all I've heard backstage, what a great guy. The wrestling world will be a little bit less without Pat Patterson.
Well, I tell you what, Pat Patterson and Jerry Briscoe, man, the Attitude Era is not the Attitude Era. That whole time with the corporation, they were great. I mean, these two gentlemen had really made their bones in the WWE early. Two of the foundational guys for the WWE under Vince's dad, and both of them carving out their own legacy. Pat Patterson coming up with the name for one of those pay-per-views, Briscoe being one of the toughest dudes you could ever fight, and yet they both were willing to play kind of the stooges to McMahon and did it to just perfect tone, perfect timbre, perfect notes, all of it incredibly funny. Yet you always felt they had a shot to turn things around and do something terrible that would cost your face guy or face woman from winning the match. They were always getting involved. They were great. And then, of course, later on, Pat Patterson in that show, the reality show they had on the WWE Network, Aaron, talking about coming out as a homosexual in the professional wrestling industry. You know, it's really interesting. Pat Patterson was one of these guys. He talked about the experience. He talked about what he went through. And in a way, it was great to hear that, you know, the country sometimes can be split. Certainly pro wrestling with some of the red state approach and blue state approach and all of that, you can have a bit of division about the idea of homosexuality. Pat Patterson, one of the legends, coming out and speaking openly about it, I thought was so brave of him. And I think it also paved the way for someone for more of the wrestlers who want to come out, that it's okay to step forward and, you know, put your hair up and square up type thing. All of that, you know, being available because of what Pat Patterson did as well. An incredible legacy, and to top it all off, also being kind of an icon or kind of a representative for the LGBTQ community here in the WWE.
If you know Pat Patterson, if you know the backstage stuff, you know that he was, you know, his English was not the best at times. And sometimes he would say, instead of going bananas, he may say he went banana. So if you know banana is Pat Patterson, that's kind of Pat Patterson's thing. But, you know, the first Intercontinental Champion, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. So much controversy surrounding that. Heard they were hanging from the rafters, as in he was just awarded the belt, but they just made up all that Rio de Janeiro stuff. It's not true. Legendary feud with Sergeant Slaughter as well. A lot of people don't realize that. You know, Pat Patterson was a long-time in-ring performer. He wasn't, you know, just that stooge in the Attitude Era, but my God, did he play that to the hilt. Hardcore champion, him and Jerry Briscoe dressing up in dresses and wrestling each other. Some of the best memories of the Attitude Era was Pat Patterson and Jerry Briscoe and their shenanigans. And if you haven't seen Jerry Briscoe's tribute to Pat Patterson on, I think Ryan Satin shared it. It is a heartbreaker, man. It is a heartbreaker if you can go with that. But it's so up in heaven, the crowd's going banana. You got it, J-Dog. The crowd is going banana. But
absolutely.
Yeah, legendary Pat Patterson will be sorely missed.
Yeah, definitely. And he wasn't the only one who we lost here, Aaron. And we'll finish up our tributes here with Tiny Lister, Zeus, as some of the WWE fans might know him, but also Debo on Friday, and also, you know, the president of the Galaxy in Fifth Element, and of course the inmate there who throws out the detonator in the Dark Knight out the window of the ship there, the boat. So many different roles Tiny Lister was a part of. And you know, Zeus was the one that a lot of WWE people saw him as, got to know him as, and that forgettable but still cheesily fun, I guess, if you're in the mood for it, No Holds Barred movie with him and Hulk Hogan. The less said about his wrestling ability in the ring, the better, probably, but certainly a presence with the Z and the, you know, even the fact that he had a bit of a lazy eye worked really well to show or convey a bit of a maniac here. And a shame, 54 years old, really young, man. I mean, I'm not that far away from that, bro. It's kind of heartbreaking to hear that, but certainly a guy who lived a very hard life, a partying life, but also was a workhorse in terms of an actor, constantly showing up in a lot of movies and TV shows. So another sad loss we had this week in the world of professional wrestling, for sure.
If you remember that from No Holds Barred, that of course was my first introduction to No Holds Barred. I mean, I watch that movie every Christmas. That's an inside wrestling joke, but I watch it every Christmas. It's so great in the cheesiest way possible. When I was a kid, I used to think that like Zeus was a real person and he was really going to beat up Hulk Hogan, like, you know, Battle of the Tough Guys. I really thought that Zeus was gonna kill Hulk Hogan, and then when he showed up in WWE with the Macho Man Randy Savage at SummerSlam '89, I was like, oh my God, how is Hulk Hogan going to survive? I thought he killed this guy, but he came back from the dead. And you know, I love Tiny Lister ever since. Of course, Friday. Oh my God, Friday. How can you forget Debo? You know, Oh my God. I was just talking to my wife about that the other day. She's never seen Friday, by the way, which is just, I know, what the hell? Like, how have you not seen Friday? But
how's that possible?
Yeah, just a guy that would pop up and stuff, and you're just like, oh yeah, I love this guy. Yeah, and most recently, when I went to the movies, when it opened back up before it closed again over here, I saw The Dark Knight again, and of course there he was, like you mentioned, the guy that threw the inmate that threw the remote control out the window. So yeah, like every time this guy would pop up, he would just put a smile on my face. So very sad to see him go. A guy that's instantly recognizable when you see him. You're like, holy crap, that's Zeus, or holy crap, that's Debo, son. So yeah.
Such a shame. Such a shame. But yeah, sad to see him go. But you know, he left a legacy, and look, a lot of people remember him for decades to come because of movies like Friday and The Fifth Element, and some of the next generation of wrestling fans might go backwards and enjoy his stuff there as well, and have a little fun with it when they revisit the legacy of Hulk Hogan. He is tied to that legacy of Hulk Hogan. There's no getting out of that. So if you're going to study that man's history at some point, you're going to stumble over Tiny Lister. So much love to him and what he was able to accomplish there. So, sending love to his family, sending love to Pat Patterson's family as well, and everything for those people. All right, let's move on to some news here, brother man. Should we jump into it first?
Yeah, let's talk about we got Mauro Renallo giving more detail on why he left WWE. Remember, we covered this a few months ago.
Yes.
When Mauro decided he was going to leave NXT, but he gave a little bit more detail in that, saying that, a lot of what it had to do with was the personnel changes, the commentary role that he was expected to have, and his expected level of focus and preparedness as to be reciprocated by others. So Mauro talking here, basically, he wasn't a fan of the 3-man booth. He didn't like being remote, which is, that's just how it is. I mean, a lot of people probably wouldn't like that. It'd probably be a weird environment to be remote and do commentary like that, I imagine. And, Mauro's a boxing announcer too. He's used to being, it was just him and somebody else, or it's him and Josh Barnett doing New Japan Pro Wrestling, or it's, him and Gus Johnson doing Strikeforce when they would do Strikeforce. So I'm sure it's a big change to do a 3-man booth. I'm sure it's like way more difficult, but I do like what Mauro said here. He paid a lot of tribute to the WWE for giving him the opportunities to do all these things. He's not bitter. I think he's one of these guys that if the door is always open for him to return, if he wants to return, and would be welcome back with open arms. No, you're on mute. You're on mute, son.
There we go. All right. Can you hear me now? Sorry about that.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Let me bring it up. I was getting some issues there. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So, look, I mean, we've talked about Mauro Renallo on the show in the past. And of course, we've talked about that documentary that he had that I really 1,000% loved because he was so wide open about his mental health struggles and everything that he went through. And look, a lot of people, when people leave the WWE or leave any of these companies, they want to find the drama and find out was it a personal issue with Vince or Stephanie or Shane or anybody involved there at the top there. With Mauro just said, I don't like the 3-man booth, and it's what the WWE wanted to do. I did it for as long as I could do it, and then I just hit my wall and wanted to get on out. But I got nothing negative to say about those people and how they treated me and what happened and blah, blah, blah. So, you got to give him props for being an ultimate professional in this situation. If there was any behind the scenes stuff, he's not willing to talk about it at this point, nor does he have to, to be honest with you. And so if this is better for his mental health, if this is better for where he's at, then I applaud him for making this decision. And I'm glad he's willing to open up and talk about it and go forward from here, and there's no drama behind this. It's just that he preferred a 3-man booth and he wanted to do something else and try and challenge. Some people I'm built better to co-host shows. I'm better to host the show and have a co-host because I like to bounce ideas off. It's why almost all my shows on here is a conversation show or a bounce back show about whatever we're talking about, because I know that's what I prefer. I don't mind a 3-man, 4-man, 5-man person, 5-person rather, and I don't mind any of that, but it has to at least be one other person. Some people are cool doing their own thing, solo, whatever, for their channel. I respect that, but you got to know what works for you. And Mauro, for him, he knew the 3-man booth wasn't a thing for him. But he leaves a great legacy as well, Aaron. He's still going to be announcing stuff and doing his thing. He's great.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably one of the best out there, if not the best. Like I said in the past, like me and my friends used to really not understand like the hype that Mauro would have for certain things when he would, yell "Mamma Mia," and then when he comes to NXT, like my whole mindset changed. Just he added so much to those shows, and I'm not saying that Wade Barrett and Beth Phoenix and Vic Joseph can't do that. Of course they can,
of course.
But it's just different. It's just so different without him. It's like, listening to an NBA game and you hear Marv Albert and you're like, oh, you get really used to Marv Albert. Or you get used to Dick Vitale or these other guys that are just so good at what they do. And then another person comes in, you're like, nah, it's not as good, but I still enjoy it.
Well, it's like, no offense to Michael Cole, but it's like when he took over from Jim Ross no, not Todd Pettengill. But when he took over from Jim Ross and Lawler, it just was never the same. I enjoyed Jim Ross at his prime, and he still is one of my favorite to call matches from back then. Not obviously now he's a little slower. He's not quite as dialed in as he was before. But you just have your people, and to me, I never thought anyone was going to be Gorilla and Brain. And then Ross and Lawler came, and I loved Ross and Lawler, but Cole and whoever, it didn't always work for me 100%. But yeah, you're right. You just kind of have to kind of transition and see if you like the new announce. But I like the NXT announcing teams for the most part. But Renallo bringing that extra level of emotion to it. It reminds me a lot of the guy who called the ECW stuff all the time. Oh my Joey Styles.
Joey Styles, yeah.
Yeah, it was great to see their stuff as well. So yeah, it's a shame, but that's you got to do what's best for you, and he's in a position financially where he can. So more power to him.
And a lot of times, Joey Styles did it on his own. He was there by himself, or he had Joel Gertner later on, or even Don Callis, who we'll talk about later. But that's that. But I think we got some super chats that flew in. I know Gramash came in hot on that one, so it's way back there.
All right, Gramash said, it's Sting! There are rumors of Sting wrestling. Oh, no longer rumors, my brother, but with whom? He has the right to end his career on his terms. Will it be a cinematic match? Now, do we want to answer this one right now?
I think we're going to hold off for just a second on that, Gramash. We'll get to it. It's going to be our next story, so we're going to get to that. I think we got another one, though.
Absolutely.
Another super chat about work. There we go.
Justin Toner says, hey, guys, did either of you get to watch NXT War Games on Sunday? I thought it was a great show. Both War Games matches delivered the goods. Thanks. Yeah, please. Aaron, did you get a chance to watch these matches? You texted me and told me to watch both War Games matches. Those were worth it on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, here's the thing. You can't say War Games. You have to say War Games, like William Regal says it. But, yeah, I mean, you've got like 10 of the best, or well, let's see, 8, 9, 10, like 16 of the best wrestlers in the entire world going at it in these War Games matches. The women's War Games match I thought was better. That's only because of the people that were in it. Like Ember Moon was so good. Dakota Kai was so good in that. She just took an ass whooping the entire time. So good. Ria Ripley was so good. Oh my God. Everybody in this match was so good. And then, of course, Io Shirai putting the trash can over herself and jumping on, from the outside to the inside. I love that. Yeah. But the men's War Games, of course, was great too. Pat McAfee jumping off the cage was pretty wild, considering this dude used to be an NFL punter. He's out here doing swanton bombs in a War Games cage. But yeah, I love both of them. The rest of the War Games pay-per-view, the Cameron Grimes stuff, I didn't love, and I like Cameron Grimes. I didn't love that kind of stuff. The Johnny Gargano match was really good. Glad to see that he got the championship, the NXT North American title back. But other than that, the 2 War Games matches are tops, and everything else is okay.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. I enjoyed the War Games matches. Yeah, I agree with you. I did not expect much from Pat McAfee. I have a bias against McAfee, and it's born a little bit of a little envy to be able to go from a punter and all of a sudden have 1 million followers. But clearly, he's got some kind of magic there for him that the fans absolutely love him. And the fact that he stepped into this situation and took some of the bumps that he took. This is not like Gronkowski coming in and swooping in for a couple of spots. This guy legitimately puts his body on the line to give the fans a great show, and that's what's going to get him over with the fans even more. So many people came out of the War Games I saw on social media talking about Pat McAfee and what he was able to do during that time. Zeno Hour clearly has lost his mind as he put Pat McAfee over Hulk Hogan. He's clearly Zeno Hour's clearly been hit in the head one too many times in his wrestling matches out in his makeshift ring in the backyard for him to even tweet or post something like that. So there's no way in hell that's the truth. But Zeno Hour
maybe he meant in when it comes to Swanton bombs that Pat McAfee's better than Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, you never.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
Yeah, agreed. Fair enough. Yeah, but so if you haven't watched War Games, definitely watch. Look, NXT is just, their pay-per-views almost never disappoint. There's almost always either every match is great or a lot of the matches are great or enough of the matches are great to make it worth it for you to watch. So this was fun to watch and felt like old school War Games it's been a while since it felt like that, to be honest with you, Aaron. So it was nice to see that again, man. I really enjoyed that for sure.
I mean, I would disagree with that. I think they're all awesome. Every time they've done it in NXT, it's been pretty amazing. Okay. I don't know, man. The women's one last year was pretty damn good, too, with Ria Ripley being on an absolute tear. I thought that was awesome. But, I thought they were both great, and I look forward to it every year. And if it's going to be a staple, I'm glad it's an NXT and not the main roster.
Absolutely. I think those are all the super chats. We have no Streamlabs so far. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, please send in super chats, Streamlabs. That's how you support this show. If nothing else, at least hit the like on this. We've got only 25 likes, but 44 of y'all watching this right now. So please hit that like button, give it some love, and keep us going here on Strong Style. I drove 6 hours, jumped out of the car, set this all up in 20 minutes, and had about 5 minutes to get the internet issues figured out. So I hope that can be rewarded with some love from you all, because I'm so dedicated to making this show work on this channel. All right, let's move on to our next John put you in. Yeah, exactly. I did put him in his lane. All right, let's move on to our next news item. What do we got, Aaron?
Well, let's go ahead and talk about it, Gramash.
Yeah.
It's Sting! Sting has returned. This time he has shown up in AEW. He showed up last week in the Cody Darby Allin versus Will Hobbs and Ricky Starks match, when Team Taz was beating up on everybody. The lights went out and the winter was coming, and it was Sting that was on the other side with the baseball bat, the face paint, the shirt. Looked good.
Yeah,
pretty good. Probably need to dye that hair, my friend. But other than that, it looked good.
Dude, for 61, he looked way better than Flair did at 61. How old is he? 62, 61? Yeah.
I think he's 62, yeah.
62. He looked way better than Flair did at 62. So I think Sting looks fantastic, and he looks ready, like he could actually get in the ring and fight, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're heading towards. When he had his feud with Triple H, and that was all great, he showed up at Survivor Series. What a great moment that was. And then he had the match with Triple H at WrestleMania. Not so great. Probably should have gone over, but Triple H, whatever. Triple H goes over. Hey, it's just me. And then now you got him, he went up against Seth Rollins. He had the back issues that really hurt him. So, it was a bad ending in WWE for Sting. So now that he's come over to AEW, there's so much more for him to do. He could wrestle Cody. He could wrestle Darby Allin. He could wrestle. I don't want to see him wrestle Brian Cage because I don't want him to die. I could see him wrestle like Ricky Starks. Him and Arn could do some stuff. Him and Tully can do some stuff. Yeah. There's plenty of stuff to do with Sting in AEW. I don't know if getting in the ring is the right thing, but if he's healed up enough from all those injuries, the stuff with Seth Rollins, then why not? Why not put him in the ring if you have to? You've got such star power. And it's funny to me because I hate seeing Goldberg in the ring. We'll talk more about Goldberg later. But Goldberg is like 48 or something like that. And Sting is 62. And I would much rather see a 62-year-old Sting than I would a 48-year-old Goldberg. I don't know what that says about me, but I get it. I get more excited for Sting, way more excited than I do for Goldberg when he shows up, even if it's a lesser capacity Sting. I'll take that any day over Goldberg.
Yeah, I agree with you, because Sting will give you a match that's longer than 8 minutes. So I'm cool with that. And I'm just saying I'm 1,000% down with that. So let me see what he can do. The rumors are he's going to take on Darby Allin. That's what some of the sites are speculating. And certainly he lingered longer on Darby Allin than he did on anyone else when he first got in that ring a week and a half ago. And what a great intro. And it was said that Tony Khan and him were working this thing out behind the scenes, didn't talk to anybody about it, and it wasn't until they signed the contract that it was fully going to happen. And then afterwards, just great to see him step in. And he wanted Shivani to be the one who did the call, which I thought was great. That's how you understand. That's how you know these guys, these people involved with AEW. They understand the history of wrestling. They understand the importance of it. Having Shivani, Jim Ross was there too, but having Shivani do the call, 19 years later, 2001 being the last time he fought in the ring on TNT, and he beat Ric Flair in that match, old school Ric Flair. But what was interesting here, and I want to get your thoughts on this, Aaron, this was a combo of Raven Sting, or the Crow Sting, rather, not Raven Sting, the Crow Sting, and Surfer Sting with his woo, all that stuff that he was doing. Is this what we're going to get? A combo of both characters here to make it work for this run, which will probably be a limited run, and certainly him wanting to go out on his own terms. Do you think he's going to play both characters here so that people can enjoy both stage or both phases of the Sting character?
Yeah, why not? I mean, why not use them both to the best of your abilities? It looks like just because Darby Allin has face paint, it's going to be him and Sting, because only one can have face paint apparently in AEW, so now they have to go up against each other. But yeah, I mean, Sting's T-shirt, we should talk about that for just a second. Sting's T-shirt was the highest selling T-shirt in Pro Wrestling Tees history, overnight. That's incredible. That just tells you how much people wanted to see Sting again. And if we're going to get a hybrid of the Crow, like the brooding Sting that comes down from the ceiling, and the Surfer that's a little more energetic, I like that. I like that he went up to Tony Schiavone and was like, Tony, give me a hug, man. It's been too long. I love that. That was so awesome. And if if you listen to Tony Schiavone's podcast, he just loves doing that. It's Sting. He just loves doing that, does it all the time. Tony Schiavone was definitely the right man to do that call. Kudos to, Tony Khan and everybody for bringing him in. So good. Zeno Hour in the chat popped me because he said Sting rejected Cody and his stupid neck tattoo. That's funny. That's true. And I like that he called Cody a kid, said, see you around, kid. And the one thing about Sting is you're never sure, or Stinger's never sure, or you're never sure about Sting, or nothing's for sure. I love that. That's old school Sting. I like that kind of stuff. So everything they're doing with Sting right now is enough to keep me interested in what he's doing going forward.
Yeah, 1,000% agree with you, man. I'm so into this situation, and I want it to be something that ends up being what he wants it to be, which is to go out on his own terms. I mean, there are those rare personalities in wrestling that deserve the best that wrestling can give them, and Sting is certainly one of them, brother. I mean, having him go out and do his thing and fight Darby and see what he can do with it. And Darby makes sense. You don't want to put Sting in the ring with Brian Gage or any of these other bigger dudes that could maybe inflict some real damage on Sting at this point. And you got to wonder, why wasn't he cleared by the WWE? Or was it that the WWE didn't feel like they wanted to risk putting him in the ring? Does AEW have a more lax approach to this? And I'm only bringing, look, everyone's really happy about this. I'm happy about it. I hope he goes on his own terms. I want nothing but the best for Sting. But if this doesn't work out, Aaron, and he really gets injured, then you have to lump this in with the Matt Hardy stuff. You have to lump this in with the other wrestlers that have been injured on these previous pay-per-view, these AEW events or tapings. And so you start to wonder if this is something that AEW is being a little more lax on the physical well-being of their wrestlers just to have them in the ring. And that's a bad pattern, because we're past precedent. It's a bad pattern to be setting, and that's my concern here at this point with Sting. But I hope it all works out. I hope none of that happens. I hope he gets to go out on his own terms and leave the bat or whatever there on the ramp as he walks away. And the coat would be awesome. I love it. But you never know. You just never know if he might get injured again in the ring on a botch or a slip or what have you, and you don't want that to happen.
Well, especially with Alex Reynolds coming out this week saying that he wasn't knocked out. We talked about that spot a few weeks ago where Alex Reynolds was knocked unconscious. Said that he was never unconscious and that his lifeless body being drugged to the corner was a planned spot. Whatever, you got to tell yourself, Alex, or whatever they're telling you to tell you, whatever, buddy. That's 100% false. You can tell that the dude was knocked out. So, I mean, I hear you on that, but let's not count our chickens before they hatch, because we're not there. We don't know if Sting's even going to wrestle. That's just a rumor that he will. Yeah. It looks like he's gonna, but we don't know that 100% yet. So we'll cautiously do that. But
Yeah.
Sting also doesn't do these high spots. You're not going to see Sting jump off a cherry picker onto a table. You're not going to see that happen. That would never happen. The most extreme spot that Sting is going to do is a drop kick. So big difference.
Let's keep it to there. Yeah. Gramach says, I think Jericho versus Sting, Bat versus Bat, Painmaker. I wouldn't want to risk Jericho against Sting. And I bet Jericho would be nervous about getting in the ring and hurting him, because Jericho can still go with Rollins, and Rollins put Sting out. So you don't want to have somebody who's got that kind of, ability still and strength to possibly injure Sting. You want him to kind of control the match for the most part and what have you. And Darby Allin can make his bones against a legend like Sting, which would be awesome for his career for sure.
See, the funny thing about that is, like, we just talked about this, like, Darby Allin is the kind of guy that's going to jump off of stuff and do all kinds of stuff like that. So I don't know if that's the right guy to match Sting up with. I think Chris Jericho is the right call. He's a veteran that's going to know how to take care of Sting. I mean, he's a vet. He's going to know how to take care of Sting in the ring. I think they could have a great match, minimal wear and tear on Sting. I think they could tell a great story. They're both, Chris Jericho's amazing on the mic. Sting is good, but not as good as Jericho. I think we can all say that. They both got submission finishers. They both use bats. Jericho does the Painmaker face paint. It just works. It just fits. Why not?
All right, fair enough. We got ourselves a Streamlab that came in from Christian Ramos. He says, hey, John and Aaron, curious to know if you could see Sting become a coach for the AEW roster in the near future. Who would be his perfect 4 picks, male or female, on the roster? Thanks for the content. Stay safe. Yeah, so Christian wants to know who would be 4 of his perfect picks for Sting to manage or to guide at this time if he was to go and slide into being a coach. What do you think, Aaron?
Well, I think Darby Allin would be your first one to go with, right there off the top. As far as females, I'm not sure. Hikaru Shida would be interesting. She could use a little character development. I think if you were going to pick a woman right off the top, you'd pick Abaddon, just by the way that she looks. That could be fun and interesting. As far as other dudes go, I'd like to see him do something with the Dark Order, get some of those guys in there. If like Sting turned evil and got with like Brody Lee and John Silver and some of those guys, that could be fun.
Yeah. I think I echo what your thoughts are on this one as well. And you might just go to the back, but then again, I mean, I also think Steve Borden once he goes out on his terms, I think he can just go right on off into the sunset, relax, and enjoy the rest of his time. I mean, you don't catch Hogan trying to be a coach in the back. You don't catch Flair trying to be a coach in the back. Are they, while they're under contract, are they helping people? Absolutely. But they're not going to turn into, what's his face? The ass man, Billy Gunn. They're going to turn into Billy Gunn. Yeah, all those guys who are coaching in the back as a job. I don't think Sting never, ever needs to do that. He's got enough money and merchandise and name and fortune that he can just live off what he's making off of that. So I can't anticipate that ever happening. However, I can anticipate him becoming a manager in terms of storylines. That would be interesting. Bring back the main event Mafia a little bit, but have Sting, be the guy in charge of it all with the tie and the suit and all that jazz. That could be a lot of fun to have him do some form of that. That could be fun from Sting's point of view. And I know I think Norm, our friend Norm there, made a joke about it on Twitter about bringing the main event Mafia back, and people misunderstood his joke and went after him. So it's just for fun and shits and giggles to think about the possibility of Sting doing something like that as well in the future. That could be a blast.
Yeah, I think we got another super chat a little bit back. Josh Mabry, if you see that one there.
Yeah, let me toss it up here. Josh Mabry, what do you think about Vince sending Keith Lee back to the Performance Center to refine his in-ring work? Yeah, what is that all about, Aaron? Why are you going to call a guy up and then send him back down to the Performance Center to refine his in-ring work? This could be one of two ways, right, Aaron? It could be one, they're really grooming him for a top spot, so they want him to be as good as possible, or they realize they called him up way too early and they need to do a bit more work on him to make sure he can get to the next level.
I think it's the former. I really do. I think people are blowing this story way out of proportion about Keith Lee. And it wasn't just him. It was rumored to be Otis and a few other people they were doing. I think that's what they're doing. They're grooming Keith Lee to be in that main event spot. And I think that's what they're doing. He needs some mic skill refining. He does have a good presence on the microphone. He does, but he speaks very slowly and softly.
Yeah.
And they may want to fix that up a little bit. And I mean, come on, if you've seen Keith Lee wrestle, you know that he doesn't need that much refinement. But then again, there is a certain WWE style that they want you to wrestle. So if he had to go back and fine tune a few things, who gives a damn? Like, I don't care. I think that this story is just ridiculous, and people are jumping all over it like they're shitting on Keith Lee, and I don't think that's happening at all. I think if anything, they love Keith Lee. I mean, the first match he had on the main roster, he beat Randy Orton. Come on. That's like beating John Cena your first night. That's unbelievable. So, I mean, Keith Lee has been right there at the top. He's not been booked terribly so far. So I really think it's what you said. I think it's the former there. I don't think that it's a punishment. I think it's just grooming him to be the top.
Yeah. All right. I switched my mic. Can you hear me? Am I still good? Am I still good right now?
Yeah, you sound great, man.
Good. Cool. Just want to make sure. This is all piecemeal and on the fly. All right. Chris Taylor says, calling it now, Darby will be the first to kick out of the one-wing angel and will beat Omega for the AEW title. We haven't even gotten to this Omega story, by the way. But, yeah, what do you feel about this comment from Chris Taylor here?
Chris, I love you, but you're insane. And I'm going to tell you why, because Darby Allin is not ready for that top spot yet. Like, he just got the TNT title. If you're talking about down the road, I don't think so. I don't think he's going to be the first person to kick out of it. I think the first person to kick out of the One Wing Angel is going to be Hangman Adam Page, and they're just going to redo that story of where they were tag partners, and Hangman Page is going to be the guy to beat Kenny Omega for the AEW World title, and they're going to run with Hangman Page for like a year or so as their top baby face, their top guy in the company. The face of AEW will soon be Hangman Adam Page. Book it.
Oh, well said. Book it. I agree with that. Way too early for Darby, but maybe if you're calling it now down the road, like Aaron said, down the road is a possibility for sure, but I don't think anytime soon. He's got a few more programs to work before he gets to Omega and beating Omega. Gramash says, year is ending. What are some must-see matches? Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't know if I've got some lined up in my head right now in terms of must-see matches. Certainly Sasha versus Bayley for the title was an incredible match for sure recently. What about you?
Definitely check out most recently War Games. I would say the Young Bucks versus FTR at Full Gear was a great one. I would also say, it just left my brain, Ilya Dragunov versus Walter in NXT UK. Great match. Tyler Bate versus Walter from NXT UK. If you don't get around to watching NXT UK, you should probably check those out. Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte, of course, one of my favorite matches of the year. I talk about it all the time.
Great. Yeah.
The Firefly Funhouse and the Firefly Funhouse match, the Boneyard match, both excellent and great in their own right. You have to give me a little more time on that, but that's what I got so far off the top of my head.
I think the Daniel Bryan AJ Styles match from SmackDown was damn good. A lot of people, those matches. Sometimes nowadays it's rare when you hear about a great match that occurs on a regular taping, either Raw or SmackDown. And I thought that one was absolutely excellent for sure. I really was so surprised at how good that was overall, and I loved. It felt like old school Daniel Bryan for sure, and we hadn't seen that one in quite some time. What about Kenny Omega versus Pock earlier this year on Dynamite? That was pretty good as well. Those are some matches you could throw into your mind. And did you mention the Young Bucks one versus FTR? That was a good one, right? But a lot of people thought it was going to go one way, and it went another for sure. So those are some fun matches for you to look back on now if you are trying to catch up with something as we go to the tail end of the year. Maybe we'll do that, Matt. Aaron, we had a fun thing last week where we talked about our top 10 wrestlers of all time. Maybe near the end of the year, we'll do a top 10 matches of 2020. And we'll keep it shorter this time. We keep it short. I think a lot of people felt that an hour and a half was a bit too long. So maybe we'll keep it to 45 minutes. So it's a fun little. Well, I never. Chris Miner says, I kind of wish New Year's Evil was named New Year's Revolution. Which classic pay-per-view do you wish NXT brings back? Mine would be One Night Stand. Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Chris Miner on this one. One Night Stand, my favorite one that they've done is still. And so I would love to see that one come back. What about you?
Well, they already brought back the one I wanted the most, which was Halloween Havoc. So they already did that. That was definitely the one I wanted the most. They brought back Starrcade before, but I would actually like to see them do like a formal version of Starrcade and not some BS version of it. I'd like to see them put some respect on Starrcade's name and make it one of the bigger pay-per-views. So that would be my choice. Starrcade. Bring it back better.
Starrcade. I like Stargate. It's a great suggestion, my man. I dig it. Dig it a lot. All right, let's move on to our next thing here. What do we got next, brother?
All right, so now we're talking about the Kenny Omega stuff. This is the stuff we've all been wanting to talk about. I mean, it's been the hottest thing in pro wrestling for the last 2 weeks. I mean, I'll just set the stage real quick if you don't know. Kenny Omega defeated John Moxley a couple weeks ago for the AEW World Championship, facilitated by one Don Callis, the executive VP of Impact Wrestling, which is like a surprise. Like, why was he even there? Him and Kenny are close friends. That's real. And Don Callis slid him the microphone. He hits John Moxley. He wins the title. And as the match is over, people are wondering what the hell's going on. Don Callis and Kenny leave together. And at the end, what is that guy's name? Alex. I forget, but anyway, the guy that's doing the commentary for AEW says, what's going on, Don? And Don says, I'll tell you all about it this Tuesday on Impact Wrestling. So Kenny Omega showed up this past week on Impact Wrestling to talk about why he and Don Callis are together, why that's working. And I gotta say, like, I watched Impact for the first time in a long time, watched it on Twitch. You can watch it for free on Twitch. And the whole show sucked. It was awful.
You were not impressed.
Awful show.
You texted me in the middle of it. You said it was terrible. Don't even watch it. It was horrible.
No. Just stay for the Kenny stuff. That was the Alex Marvez. Thank you, J-Dog. It just it just was not good. Like, I love a lot of the performers on there. There was a great women's tag team match that should have been. It just wasn't good. Like, you would think that Impact, knowing that so many eyes were going to be on this, allegedly 750,000 viewers, which is way more than they get on a normal week. So 750,000 viewers that you had in your hand, and you just drop a ball on this show, except for Kenny Omega. That stuff was good because Kenny Omega and Don Callis cut this promo saying that Kenny wants to be a collector. So we're going to see Kenny Omega. You don't know where he's going to show up. Maybe Kenny Omega shows up at Impact. Maybe he wins the Impact Championship. Maybe he shows up at Ring of Honor. Maybe he shows up back in New Japan. Maybe he shows up in China. Maybe he shows up in Germany, Canada. You don't know where Kenny Omega is going to show up and want to wrestle somebody or defend his AEW championship. And that, to me, took Kenny Omega from being, wow, they don't really know what they're doing with this guy, to, wow, he's the most interesting dude in professional wrestling right now. So that was pretty awesome.
Okay, great. Yeah, absolutely agreed. And I thought Kenny Omega and Moxley put on a damn good match. And then what happened afterwards was great. I mean, it had shades of, shades of old school stuff, shades of Punk leaving the arena, shades of Sonny throwing the, was it Sonny who threw the title in the trash can? It shades
that was Medusa.
For Medusa, it had shades of Hall and Nash showing up in WCW. It had shades of that kind of feeling of like, oh, is this an promotional rivalry? Is this what's going to happen? And so I love that. I love that vibe to it. And it adds a new wrinkle, a new element to the whole thing. So why not? Why not? It's a lot of fun for sure. And I don't think we've heard the last of this situation for quite some time. So there could be a blast too.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be going on and on and on. They've already said that Kenny Omega is going to be on this week's Impact as well. So we'll see if he's actually in the ring or is he just going to be on a bus like they were this time. But it's so intriguing, man. Like, he went full blown heel. And it's just so awesome to see that when you let talent be talent, albeit even Kenny Omega, one of the best wrestlers in the world, they can really turn something out. Just turn the volume up to 12. And they've really got something in Kenny Omega right now, which they should have had a long time ago. But hey, I'm not complaining. It's here now. I'll take it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let me see if I got any more Streamlabs or Super Chats before we move on to our next thing. The episode is speeding along. We're at the 45-minute mark. If you haven't hit a like yet, please hit like on this video. That thumbs up button. Give it some love. we get almost 1,000 or over 1,000 views on these videos, and I'd like the likes to be up there around 200. So if you're watching it, even watching for like some of you are watching from 6 to 10 to 15 minutes, please swing that cursor over and hit that like button, or leave a comment if you're watching us after we've recorded it live. Appreciate all of that. I read all the comments on all the YouTube videos on the Outlaw Nation. I do. I don't always like them. I don't always respond to them, but I certainly read them. And even on the car ride here for the last 6 hours, I was looking through all the YouTube videos and trying to like all the comments or respond to some of the comments that I felt deserved a response from me or needed a response. So please do that. Really appreciate any support you give. We are pushing and pushing to make Strong Style a stronger part of the Outlaw Nation for sure. All right, where are we on to next here, Aaron?
You should just give a like just for John Rocha's shirt, guys. Like, just for the Undisputed Era shirt that he's rocking.
A Black Friday purchase, ladies and gentlemen. $12.50. That's all it was. Fantastic.
Great shirt.
Like 6 shirts. It was great. I've got an LW one coming too as well. All right. Anyway.
Oh, nice. Nice. We are moving on to Goldberg. Yeah, Goldberg. He's getting Oldberg. And
let's make this one quick.
He was on the Bump this past weekend. The WWE showed the Bump, their digital show, and they asked if he was, hey, you going to return to the ring? Who's next? And he said Roman Reigns is next. And if you recall, Goldberg versus Roman Reigns was supposed to happen at this past year's WrestleMania. Roman said, "Peace. There's COVID. I'm out." Then he came back after Goldberg was gone. And, Goldberg eventually lost to Braun Strowman at WrestleMania. And Roman's champion now. So why not? Goldberg's going to come in here and say, I want to go up against Roman Reigns. So number one, this is stupid. And number two, John, do we need this match? Do we want this match?
We really don't. We really don't need this match in any way, shape, or form. Too frustrating to think about. Look, I'm not one of these people that hates Goldberg. I want to put that on the table. I do not hate Goldberg. Do I not like the fact that these matches now, since they brought him back, are over in minutes or seconds sometimes? No, I'm not a fan of that. That's 100% the truth. There are too many people who can give us all damn good matches at the end of the pay-per-view in the main event slot to be wasting time on a guy who gasses out so quickly. And that Undertaker match, whew, Jesus, Mary, Mother of God. There are just some bad things recently. So I don't want to see him in the ring with Roman Reigns, right? This to me is different than Hogan versus Rock, although it has similarities to Hogan versus Rock. Hogan could still go. Hogan gave a pretty good match, a longer match than people expected against The Rock. And The Rock did his thing carrying him. They're both professionals. They understood where to rest and drag the match out to make it longer. They did great work. That's not going to happen with Goldberg or Reigns. It's going to be a spear off, and then someone wins under 5 minutes or 8 pushing it. And that's not something I want to see. If you give me a 30-minute Goldberg Reigns match where they can keep that level that they start off the match with, because they're going to start out like gangbusters, then absolutely book this thing. Let's make it happen. But Goldberg can't go for long periods anymore. And it's no offense to him. He's just old, and there's not so much you can do. So I don't think putting him in the ring with a guy you just redeemed, Aaron, they just redeemed Roman Reigns. He just got back to a position where people are 1,000% behind him. They love what he's doing. They're into the stuff that he's doing, and the promos he's cutting and the little vignettes he's doing. All that shit is just building this dude's legacy to the point now where he didn't have any lines in Hobbs and Shaw, and now people are looking at him as a possible next guy to jump from the WWE onto film or TV. So settling him to Goldberg, unless it's a very short program and it's in, it's out, I don't see the logic of it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Could you imagine if Goldberg just beats Roman Reigns flat out like he did The Fiend, and just the reaction, like, okay, we took it with The Fiend because The Fiend bounced back and recovered. Yeah. Now you got Roman Reigns, who, like, people are really getting behind for the first time. Like, people are not bitching about this guy.
Yeah.
You don't want to do this. You don't want to rock the boat. Don't do it. Nope. So my dream match for WrestleMania, if we can have people, which, I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen, guys. I really don't. If in a perfect world where there was no COVID, it would be Roman Reigns versus The Rock. That would be the match that I would want to see. But if we get Roman Reigns versus Goldberg, just let Roman win. That's all I can say. If you're going to do it, Roman's got to win. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. Yeah, but wait. If Gramash says if it's a feud, Goldberg wins the first one. Then at Mania, Reigns wins.
Oh.
And that's why it can work, John. You don't need to put Reigns over, Gamache. Reigns is already over. And beating no offense. Again, no offense, because I may meet this man in real life. I don't want him to hurt me or
Fuck
him
you
not
up.
being. Yeah, exactly. No offense to Goldberg, of course, because he could fuck me up. I think Goldberg's he's past it. And so he gets nothing from beating up Goldberg in this situation, because this isn't like Randy when he was doing the legend killer stuff and he was punting people into next week, older wrestlers in the next week. That was a different thing. This will not put Reigns over. Beating Goldberg does not put Reigns over. Beating the current crop of talent, beating the Fiend, beating people who are at the top, Rollins, beating those guys, that's what keeps Reigns over. See, at this point, this is what people have to accept. He's already over. So at this point, it's about keeping him over, not trying to get him over. Keeping him over and putting up against Goldberg is not going to keep him over. It's gonna piss people off for the most part, I think.
I think you're right, 100%. So no Goldberg, please.
Yeah, please. But maybe we're both wrong, Aaron, because people loved Goldberg when he came back.
No,
I don't know.
We're not.
People loved Goldberg when he came back, so maybe it's business. Maybe it's good business. I don't know. All right, let's see if I got any more Streamlabs or Super Chats that have rolled through. No, we've got ourselves everything. We're caught up. So are we getting into the predictions here, the preview of the
Yep, let's do the TLC preview and let's get out of here.
All right, let's do it. We got ourselves, it's happening this weekend. The TLC Tables, Ladders, and Chairs pay-per-view on the WWE. We're going to go through each of these real quick and then offer our thoughts and predictions on it. Let's start with the Raw Tag Team Championship, the New Day taking on the Hurt Business. It's a ladder match. Aaron, who do you think is going to grab this one?
Well, it was a rumored ladder match. Did I put ladder match on there? Okay, well, it's a rumored ladder match. We're not sure yet, but it should be a damn ladder match. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going with the New Day here, although if it is a ladder match, it's going to be a banger. That's all I can say, because Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander, two of the best athletes in WWE, and, of course, Xavier Woods and Kofi leave no stone unturned, two of the best athletes as well. Oh, my God, I can't wait to see this one. But I will go with the New Day to retain their tag team titles.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the New Day as well. I mean, it was a shock that they put them on. They kept those titles, so for them to be in this situation now, this is going to be a fun business. And once again, let's put this in motion. Once again, it's two black tag teams going at each other. Listen, I'm loving the title. I'm loving this. This is all good business. This is great to see. So I'm glad this is happening in the WWE. Now we go to Daniel Bryan versus Jay Uso. This is so interesting. Reigns has been kind of all over Jay Uso. Now he's taking on Daniel Bryan. What's your feeling on this one? Do you think Bryan will finally do it to Uso, or is Uso going to get the advantage over this one? I mean, because it feels like it's set up like Bryan to put Uso over even more. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I think Daniel Bryan is going to lose, and I think that Jey Uso is going to get a little bit of a bump ski here to get back in Roman Reigns' good graces. Daniel Bryan is not, it's just not the same. He doesn't have to be WWE champion anymore. Daniel Bryan is really working to get other people over at this stage in his career. I think he would be the first person to tell you that. He's a two-time dad, and I think that he's ready to, start putting other people over, give different people some looks, and I could see him putting Jey Uso over here. So I'll go with Jey Uso on this one.
Okay, all right. I think I like your idea too. I think the Jey Uso thing makes the most sense overall. But I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel Bryan gets the victory, kind of paving the way for him to take on Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns to keep persecuting Jey Uso and keep that storyline going, so that Jey Uso gets shoved all the way back down, so his climb back up to beat Reigns is even longer, which makes people cheer for him even more. That could be on the table. We shall see. All right, the United States Championship here, Bobby Lashley versus Matt Riddle. What do you think of that? I mean, this seems like a Bobby Lashley squash match, but apparently this one is happening and going to be a decent match. What do you think is going to happen here?
I'm sorry, what are you talking about?
Bobby, what? Say what?
What did you say?
I think you heard me.
No, I don't think you read the correct match, sir.
You don't think is that not happening? Is that what's going on here?
No, in the TLC preview, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Lana and Asuka?
Oh, in the preview. No, but I'm talking about the United States Championship match. Isn't that happening too?
I don't know.
All right,
I'll go with Bobby Lashley then.
Okay. All right, all right. I'm looking at the CBS Sports
I thought.
listing of the
I'm
card.
sorry. I thought you were reading my notes. I apologize.
No. You know what? I'll read your notes. Tell you what, let's stay on the same page. I'll read your notes. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler taking on Lana and Asuka in this tag team championship match. Do you think there'll be tables involved in this one?
Yeah, I think that the world for some reason wants to. The world hates me, and they want Asuka and Lana to become tag team champions. I'd rather be dead than to see that happen. So I'll go with Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. But they're going to put Nia Jax through a table this time.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go with Lana and Asuka because the world does hate you. I think they're absolutely going to win this thing. We already saw Shayna get beat by Lana, right? So why wouldn't this be possible in this situation to see them do it again? Good God Almighty, God help us all. All right. Sami Zayn taking on Big E for the IC title. Thoughts on this one?
You would think it would be Big E, the way that they've been pushing him, but I think they're going to stick with Sami Zayn just because of how entertaining that he's been with the Intercontinental Championship. Would it surprise me if they went ahead and gave it to Big E? No, it would not. But I think they're planning bigger things for Big E, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and agree with you. I think Sami Zayn takes this one. I think Big E doesn't get as much out of this one if he gets the victory as they're planning for him down the road. 1,000% agree with you. All right, the Fiend Bray Wyatt taking on Randy Orton. This one I am so looking forward to, man. The program for this has been stellar. Alexa Bliss being a part of this as well. It's been stellar. So this match, what do you think is going to happen here? Because I think it can go either way, dude, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it really could. As far as the Fiend goes, I want to see. I want to see the Fiend Bray Wyatt beat Randy Orton because I mean it fits because Randy Orton burned down his house, he killed Sister Abigail or whatever back in the day, so it makes sense for the Fiend to get his revenge. I'm all about it.
Okay, I agree. I think the Fiend will get his revenge, but I also think we're not going to be done with it. I also think there's maybe one more after this one, perhaps. All right, Sasha Banks taking on Carmela for the SmackDown Women's Championship. A lot of drama at SmackDown for this contract signing. Do you think Sasha Banks retains it? I think so. What do you think?
Yeah, I think she's going to retain it by some sort of roll-up or some kind of thing, and Carmella's going to bitch about that, and then they'll have this feud extend for a little while until eventually the Royal Rumble, where Bianca Belair will win the Royal Rumble, and it'll be Sasha and Bianca Belair at WrestleMania, and that match will kick ass.
Wow. Any interference? Any interference you predict in this one?
No, because Bayley's kind of moved on. Okay. So I think that Carmella will just get, she'll get rolled up or she'll lose by some nefarious means on accident, and then that's how she'll lose because she just came back. You don't want to beat her like straight up, so you don't want to make her tap out. So
do you think Bianca gets involved in any way, shape, or form in this at all by accident or whatever, trying to help?
No, I don't think so because they haven't really put them together. They were a tag team on Tribute for the Troops, Bianca and Sasha, but I don't think they're going to be on TV together just yet.
Okay, all right. Drew McIntyre taking on AJ Styles for the WWE Championship match. Dude, AJ's still in the mix. It's so great to see. This is going to be a hell. See, this is how you help someone get over. Someone like AJ who can still do it, who can still go for minutes, for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, still can do his thing. He's a legend. Taking on someone like McIntyre, still building his credibility. This is how you do it, not Reigns Goldberg, for God's sake. So you tell me, what do you think is going to happen in this one?
Well, I think it's obvious that Drew McIntyre is going to go over. I mean, I love AJ Styles. I love him as champion. And by the way, I really regret not putting him on my top 10 list last week. AJ Styles deserved a spot on that list, 100%. Wow. So sorry, AJ, you deserved it. But
more controversy. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. So, Drew McIntyre is going to get the win here. It's going to be a good win for him. And AJ, of course, is just going to do AJ. They're going to put on a great match, and it should be great.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think McIntyre goes over. McIntyre's still building. You have to let him keep that belt for a while to get till he's really solidified with the fans, and then at that point you can have him drop it and try to get it back and whatever. But you got to keep him, you keep solidifying him with the fans for just a little bit longer before you can start messing around with it. But I also think AJ ain't done being a champion. I think there is a possibility down the road that AJ will wear the strap again, and I look forward to that time because that man can still go. All right, our last match of the evening, Roman Reigns taking on Kevin Owens for the Universal Championship. This is going to be a banger, and I'll tell you this, as you might say, Aaron, a banger. I'll tell you this, A piece of me thinks Kevin Owens is going to do it. A small piece of me thinks Kevin Owens is going to do it. You go ahead and tell me. What do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, if there was like a vote here, it'd be 100% to nothing. Like, there's no way that Kevin Owens wins the Universal Championship from Roman Reigns at this time. I think they're just Roman Reigns is on such a tear, such a different level. The right person to put them with after the Jay Uso stuff and whatever was Kevin Owens. Right person to do it because Kevin Owens can shred him on the mic and Roman Reigns can try to get over on the mic. And I would like to see this feud extend into the Royal Rumble until we get somebody like a Big E or somebody that's going to win the Royal Rumble and take on Roman Reigns. So a good bridge feud here with Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, but Kevin Owens, no chance in hell.
I like this, J-Dog. The Miz cash in here. Do we get the Miz cashing in at this pay-per-view in either of these matches?
No, I don't think you're going to see the Miz cash in until after WrestleMania.
Okay. All right. I could see it happening, but I get it. Yeah. A lot of people agree with you. No chance KO is winning this thing, but man, stranger things have happened. What if Jay interferes? What if something happens? What if Daniel Bryan interferes down there? I mean, like, who knows? But I'm just saying it could be possible. But yeah, you guys are probably right. I'm sure Roman's going to win. But I just like Kevin to get a belt one more time. I love Kevin. I'd love to get him a belt and walking around doing this thing. All right. Well, let's wrap it up there. Thank you all so much for watching this live episode of Strong Style. Please let us know down below what you thought of all the stories we covered and what's your predictions for the TLC pay-per-view this weekend. Who do you think is going to win the matches? Are Aaron and I crazy, or are we right on this? Is there an outside prediction you think that could be a dark horse prediction that you think could happen at this pay-per-view? Let us know down there. Really appreciate it. And of course, any tributes you have for Pat Patterson or Tiny List, any personal stories you all might have of having maybe interacted with them backstage or met them at a signing. Be fun to read your stories and your all's point of view on that as well. Aaron, thank you so much, brother, man. I appreciate you making the time tonight. I know we had to rush and make this happen, but thanks for making the time. Where can people find you and everything you got going on, brother, man?
On Twitter at Only Aaron Turner. Find me there. We can talk about wrestling. We can talk about the Mandalorian. Bill Burr, son. We can talk about that all you want. So yeah. Talk about it there. Only Aaron Turner.
That sumbitch won me over. Yes,
he's great. How great was he in that episode?
He was fantastic. No spoilers. He was great in that episode. I totally tweeted that out. I'm always a guy who's like, if you proved me wrong, I have no qualms admitting that I was wrong. And certainly I tweeted that, said I take back everything negative I said about Bill Burr last season. He was fantastic in this season and in this episode. Really great. And well, I'm not going to give anything else.
It's a wrestling podcast, but yeah, watch The Mandalorian. It's great.
J-Dog, maybe a Goldberg.
Stop it.
Well, as for me, you can find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. And please hit that subscribe button down below. You know, we got all kinds of great content here on the channel. Entertainment, TV stuff, reviews, sports, movies, politics, and pro wrestling. It's basically my mind on a YouTube channel, and I'm so grateful to have so many great people like Aaron Turner to co-host the shows with me and have fun with me and take time every week. And thank you all for joining us as well. Please remember to like and share this video and leave a comment down below. More than anything else, do all those things to support the show and support the channel. And if you want to be part of my Patreon, right above me, right there, patreon.com/John Rocha. The $5 and above hangouts happen on Wednesday on the Discord, and then the $10 above on-camera hangouts happen. And we do talk wrestling, we do talk sports, we do talk movies, politics. It's all in there. So if you enjoy the brand of the Outlaw Nation, come aboard the Patreon. $5, $10 a month. That's all it is. Or if you want to contribute more, feel free, please. You get even more benefits from there. But come aboard and have some fun with us. And we got a great crew of people who hang out and do the Patreon hangouts with us for sure. All right, that's it for me and Aaron Turner. Thank you all so much. Aaron, what do we got to tell them before we get the hell out of here, man?
Nothing. I'm good.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you, wear your mask.
That's all I can say. I really got to pee, guys. I'm sorry.
There you go. I think, tell you, wear your mask, practice social distancing, and come back and join us next week for another brand new episode of Strong Style.